Say hi. Say hi. No. Hey. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be doing not this Benji. We are going to be doing my favorite foundations, all drugstore and high-end. I'm a total skin junkie. I love concealers, I love foundations. That's what I spend most of my money on when I spend money on makeup. So I thought it would be fun and relaxing to just do a video since I've been studying non-stop the last couple days and working a lot. Benji unplugged my little computer from the monitor, but if you want to see what my favorite drugstore and high-end foundations are, then go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so I have all my foundations in this little box, and let me tell you, it was really difficult for me to figure out which exactly foundations I wanted to talk about because I do alternate between a bunch. I do work, 8 to 9 hour days, and a lot of that work is done, like on my feet and kind of running around talking to people all the time. I do work in retail, so that's one of the reasons why that happens. But it is a really good way for me to get a good indicator of what actually is going to be long wearing, what's going to be matte versus what's going to be a little bit more dewy. All those different factors. It's a really good environment for me to figure out which is actually going to do what. Someone that does have days that are really long and you don't really have time to take your face off and put it on again. You don't really want to have to do that. So you want something that's going to last the whole day and make you look good and make you look like you've conquered a whole day and not that your makeup's like peeling off at the end of the day. And I've had a couple foundations that have done that, so I have that experience. I can tell you about those another time, but I'm just going to tell you about the really good stuff right now. Okay, so what I found when I was picking out the foundations that I most often go to was that actually there was a really good mix of high-end and affordable drugstore brands. And I don't want to say low-end because they're not low-end. They perform really, really well. They perform just as or better than a lot of high-end products. Sorry, Benji's finally chilling out here. And I'll let you know where they are available and what shade I wear in each of these products so that you can kind of gauge based on what I wear, what you might wear. First category I'm going to go through is my stick foundations because they're on the top. And we're just going to kind of go from there. I'll probably do my drugstore ones first and then my more high-end ones after. So the first foundations I'm going to talk about are the stick ones. And I'll do my affordable ones first just because I have more of them than I do high-end. So my first affordable one is the Sephora brand, and I still have the, the little outside packaging of it on. I couldn't get it off, but I got this during the VIP Rouge and VIP whatever it was sale where they give you 20% off. It's originally maybe $18, but with the 20% off I think it was 14 or 12. I don't really remember. Benji, come here. Been so cute lately. He needs a haircut. And this, I was really impressed first, and I heard about this on a different channel. I can't remember which one it was, but I'll link it down below. This product was really good and also very matte. So I have very oily skin, so I always look for something that's matte, A, and B, long wearing. So this seemed to have both, and look at how much product is in this. I was really amazed by the amount of product that came in this. But this is a really, really long wearing foundation. It stays matte, but the only thing that I would say is negative about this foundation is that you really have to work quickly with it. Once you put it on your skin, I would only do probably like 3 or 4 strokes and then blend it in right away because it does settle very fast, and then once it dries, it's not going to move. So you do have to work fast with it. I always use my brush with it. I would never use a beauty blender with it, ever. I would definitely not recommend that. If you have oily skin, this is going to be your best friend, but also just work fast with it and work with the brush. So I would do half my face first and then the other half of your face second. I actually use a more dewy foundation stick with this, which is not in my favorites just because I don't use it every day, but if I'm going to use this one, I will use that foundation with it, and it's a Bobbi Brown foundation stick. But I would just recommend, if you're going to use this foundation, if you're as oily as I am, and I'm pretty oily, I would just work fast with it and then blend it in with a brush instead of a beauty blender. Okay, Benji. Let's get on to the next foundation. So the next foundation that is one of my favorites. Okay, can you calm down? Can you calm down? Can you calm down? Okay. Okay. Oh. Okay. Just lay it on. Okay, so the next foundation that I have is also a drugstore foundation. Well, that one wasn't drugstore, but this one is drugstore exclusive, and it's the Maybelline Super Stay foundation sticks that look like this, the ones, and they're okay. So the complaint I had compared to the other foundation that I got, which was I think normally $18 or $20, compared to this one, which is $12, and this one, I'm gonna say it performs really well. It's creamy on the skin to a point where you don't feel like you have to blend it as quickly as you do with the Sephora foundation. But I mean, you get no product in this, which really frustrates me. I was actually thinking that it was a joke, but then I realized, I was like, oh my god, like literally this is how much foundation you get. Which for $12, it's kind of, honestly, it's disappointing because you get almost double, and I'll show you guys compared to the other one. And I'm getting you guys one of the new ones. This is the foundation that I wear in the shade, oh sorry. For this foundation, by the way, the Sephora one, I wear the shade number 10, Cedar. And then for this foundation from Maybelline, and this is a new one, I haven't even used this. This is in the shade Golden, which is, you know, my normal everyday shade when I'm not tan or whatever it is. Half of it. So, I mean, it's a little bit disappointing, the amount of foundation that you get in the Super Stay stick. For the fact that they perform so well, I will definitely repurchase them, and I have repurchased them. This is my second stick. It's not like I don't use them. I do use them a lot, and I've bought, low-key, you guys, I just like squished my Maybelline foundation, so I'm like high-key disappointed, but it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I have another one. So I have purchased both of these. This is my darker, or my lighter shade in the shade Golden, and that was the one that they originally came out with. I think originally they only came out with like a couple shades. So that was kind of disappointing, but then I went to Ulta recently and they had expanded their shade range to a lot of their normal shades. And for Maybelline, my shade normally when I'm tanner is the shade Warm Sun, which is honestly very hard to find, but I was really stoked to see that they had come out with the stick foundation in the shade Warm Sun. But I will also say that for stick foundations, they look very skin-like. They blend into the skin very well, and they perform really well if you find a good stick foundation. So that's one thing to note. That being said, they don't have as much coverage, but they look very skin-like throughout the day, and they look very natural throughout the day. Okay, so now for my high-end stick foundation. It's the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Makeup Stick. And this is actually one that includes SPF, which is really nice. And honestly, I feel like the amount of product that you get is definitely more than the Maybelline Super Stay, but less probably than the Sephora foundation. And I think for people that struggle with their olive skin tones or undertones in general, you'll probably want to go for the Lancome one just because their shade range is amazing. I'm trying to get this out, but I literally can't, so give me 1 second. Okay, so this is the Lancome one. This is one that I've used for a while, so it looks like it has a lot less than it normally would. But this is a pretty good amount of product for the amount of times I've used it. I've used it for about 4 or 5 months, and it just has that much. I don't use it every day, but I do use it often. I'm in shade 410 Bisque W. Honestly too light for me right now. These sticks are amazing. Lancome in general is amazing in terms of shade range and also just finish and undertone. Their foundations are really amazing and their concealers are really amazing, so I would definitely recommend if you're looking for an undertone that you can't find or a shade that you can't find because you might be a darker or really light complexion, then I would definitely recommend checking out Lancome because they really do have great products for those purposes. Okay, so let's move on to liquid foundations, I think. So my favorite liquid foundations, 2 of them are drugstore, and one of them is high-end. The first one that I'm going to pick out is no surprise, but it's one that you guys have probably heard of often, and it's the Maybelline Matte and Poreless. And I didn't originally like this foundation as much as I thought I would. It was hyped up a lot. It's liquid. It doesn't have a pump on it. You have to pour it out, which is really annoying. Kind of like this. So that's a lot of the downsides. But the second time I used it, I got one that was, or a shade that was much more warm undertone. So it was a little bit more yellow. And not only that, but it was, I used it with a brush, I think, the second time. And it just ended up being, oh, literally I just folded that. I just folded that, Benji. Okay. But it was a better shade for me, and it was also, I used it a different way than I had used before, which I think also made a really big difference. Come here, just come here, come here, come here. Just be in the video. Okay. So I am in the shade 334 Warm Sun. I think finally I found the foundation shade that's right for me, and for that reason I really do like the foundation in general. It is everything that everyone said it was. So there you go. And it's like $10 at the most with tax. $10, maybe less than that. So worth it if you can find your shade. Okay, so my next second favorite drugstore foundation is also a liquid foundation. It's the the newer NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop foundation. This guy right here. This foundation is amazing. I think that it does everything it claims. It is really long wearing and it feels very lightweight on the skin, which is why I like it a lot, because even when you're applying it, and I use this with a brush, you don't really need a lot. The undertone is great. I won't say that this foundation is completely matte. I think it's definitely more in between. So if you're someone who is really dry and you're like afraid to use it, I would definitely give it a try for a really good amount of product. So I would definitely recommend giving it a try because you can have the option to return it, and you can buy it at Target, Ulta, and also NYX stores, which they do have nowadays. So then my last drugstore foundation that I have that is liquid based is the L'Oreal Pro Matte Foundation. I love this foundation. I don't use it all over my face. I use it primarily in the middle of my face. So what I'll do is potentially use like one of my favorite stick foundations on the outer perimeters of my face, and then in the middle where I would apply, you know, my concealer or whatever it is on my nose. So this area right here, and then my forehead where I get a little bit oily, I'll just do this foundation and it seals everything in. You use that much of the tube and it really just locks in everything in the center of your face, especially if you're as oily as I am, then that's going to be kind of a savior for you throughout the day. So I would definitely recommend using that foundation in that way if you don't want to use it all over your face, because I think for me all over my face is a little bit too cakey. For the fact that I'm using it like on my nose and in my center area, it just like brightens that area up and prepares it for concealer. So in that way, I love it. Don't we love it? Have I? Good boy. Okay, so the last liquid foundation that I wanted to talk about, which was more of my higher end choice, and no surprise, the Lancome Tint Adult Ultra Foundation in the shade I don't even know, 415 Bisque W. So also one of my warmer shades that I used from their line, and I love this foundation. I think it's like the perfect amount of coverage with the perfect amount of liquidness between being too thick and being too thin. It's the perfect amount of coverage. I think it's just always worked really well for me, and I've always loved this foundation a lot. So that's one of my favorites. And then finally I wanted to do kind of like a miscellaneous tinted foundation, tinted moisturizer kind of situation that I love. And this is the IT Cosmetics CC Cream in the shade Medium Tan. I really like to do this foundation also because it's matte and I'm really oily. It just works really well for my skin. It's really quick. If I wake up late or whatever it is, I can just take this on the go and mix it with a little bit of like my moisturizer or whatever it is, and it looks really amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I love this foundation. I wish they would come out with more colors. IT Cosmetics, thank you so much. But other than that, like, I really love that foundation. So if you guys can find your color in it, it's kind of more of like an in-between kind of thing. Definitely something that you can probably mix with other foundations, which I have before. I've mixed it with a lot more luminous foundations because this is more matte and got a really great finish. So those are just some options. But that's it for my favorite foundations. I'll list them all below in the colors that I am in each of these foundations so that you guys can kind of compare and whatnot. But yeah, that's it. That's it, you guys. We were just gonna hang out today, chit chat, because it's been a little bit of a stressful week for me and maybe for you guys too. Or if you want to watch this video when it's a stressful week for you, and hopefully it's a little bit more relaxing. But I just wanted to kind of hang out and talk with you guys. So if you have any questions for me, you can reach out to me on all social media platforms besides Twitter, because I don't have a Twitter, but other social media platforms. Oh, I don't have a Snap either, so Instagram and this platform, or by email. You guys can always do that for recommendations. I'll be coming out with videos every week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!